Lindsay grew up in a household where her mother's discernment of various living environments as a real estate broker and her father's problem-solving skills as a mechanical engineer nurtured her sense of understanding of space that would eventually transition her into an incredible career as an interior designer. Hello, my name is Dwight Rhodes. Welcome to Design Art Seminars and Roads to Equity's Emerging Professionals series, where we discuss why young professionals choose architecture and design and how they are reimagining our built environment so our diverse society can not only live together, but thrive together. Our guest today is Lindsay Baker. Stay with us for the next 10 minutes and hear Lindsay share her story.
Great. Thank you so much for having me. My name is Lindsay Baker. My background is in interior design, but my education is a Master's of Interior Design received from Florida State University.
Great. Well, we are extremely excited to have you join us today for this conversation. How did you hear about the field of interior design? And then what pathway did you take to actually make it materialize and to get where you are today?
So I would say it's probably been a long path, but going back into high school, I would probably say I had a leg up a little. My mother is a real estate broker, so I grew up understanding space and the value of space. My father is a mechanical engineer, so from a very young age, I was tinkering with pieces and parts to make a full complex piece. Through middle school and high school, I very much enjoyed math courses, but I think the greatest impact on figuring out that interior design and design would be my future career was having the opportunity to go to Italy for a few weeks and then coming back and launching into my college career. I took a lot of humanities and art courses to understand what was happening in Rome and in Florence. And then going from college and pursuing interior design, that gave me the great opportunity to design spaces for large corporations as well as small, meeting the client, sitting with them and understanding their needs. And typically that's where you start to hear about the issues they're having in their current space.
Did you have any other external supports, maybe mentors or maybe professors or teachers who also gave you the type of support and inspiration you needed to transition into the field?
Yes, I had many. This path isn't traveled alone. So in high school, I started to meet those in the design field. So practicing architects and practicing interior designers. So that was very helpful in understanding what I could possibly be getting into. And then through college, I had wonderful professors that had practiced in the industry as well as taught numerous years. It gives you an opportunity to be well-rounded and start to see where you want to focus personally.
What are some of the biggest challenges that you found in the profession at this particular point?
I would say the biggest challenge we face today is listening. So allowing that chance to voice everyone's opinions, documenting everyone's opinions, and starting to filter out what's the best solution. The biggest challenge today, as well as kind of the greatest strength of a design team, is communicating and producing one final result, and it's the voice of the team.
So can you talk a little bit more about current trends and then also explain the types of different voices that you're listening to? Who's at the table having these conversations, and what does that look like to you?
I think the biggest one that will continue to be in the forefront of what's guiding workplaces is technology. Technology is a part of everything to really reinforce those social spaces, the social connections, the face-to-face communication that is wanted, as well as having opportunities for people to come together, not just for socializing, but to work.
Are you seeing the type of diversity that's representative of the society we live in that is designing those spaces for us?
I think this question is perfect. Just this week, as a company, we have started this conversation more in depth and bringing it to light. Internally, we post blog posts about anything that's coming to light in our communities. So I think these conversations are taking place on a smaller scale within all organizations. and it's starting to finalize into committees that are being created so that the conversation isn't taking place between one or two people, but it's being opened up to a broader audience. But I think the most difficult part of this conversation is everyone being comfortable with being uncomfortable about the feelings that could arise. But it is recognized that the diversity is not reflecting the community that most of these companies work in. So gender and color aren't being properly displayed as the community around it. Why isn't the proportion similar to the community proportion? What's stopping it? So within our organization, we started to look at middle school age students, letting them know what an architect does or what a designer does, and seeing where their interest lies, and letting them know that opportunity is out there. Because the more voices, the more diversity we have, the better we're going to be able to construct for our clients and understand the social network that's out there for us.
Your company is taking a hard look at this and beginning to have that conversation and going into middle schools and affording students at the middle school level an opportunity to, explore, to have the types of experiences that can ignite and release curiosity that can transition them into fields of architecture and design. So I commend you and your company for just being courageous and starting those conversations and actually putting some action to it as well. Can you pinpoint one or two things that excite you about the work that you're doing now and potentially the work that you're going to be doing in the future?
I think the key things that are driving my passion for this field is that it's going above and beyond the built space. We're no longer just looking at how space is built and constructed, but now starting to focus more and more on the human behavior, the actions, the habits, and interactions that are taking place, and making sure that those physical elements of the space are supporting how humans collaborate, how people want to congregate together, how individuals want to get their work done. Looking at how design influences human behavior, and just thinking about how people move through a space and the experience they have as an individual in that space, as well as looking at how groups of people interact in that space, and looking at how behavior either influences the built space or how the built space influences human behavior.
And so this takes us to the last question. If you could go back to 17, 18-year-old Lindsay, what advice would you have for her or someone like her or him about going into this field?
So the advice I would give is to never stop learning, so starting to track what's happening. The best advice that was ever given to me was to seek out all opportunities and to say yes when they're placed in front of you. Sometimes it can be scary to go outside your comfort zone, but I would say it's most beneficial to your career is to seek out those opportunities that might interest you or could benefit your career.
I think those are great words for us to end on. And those seem to be very common threads in terms of encouraging people to, one, be aware that architecture and design are options for them. And then two, what you should do if you're considering going into those fields. So thank you for this great opportunity and really insightful thoughtfulness you've given to our audience today.
Thank you.